Hello. In this video, we are going to discuss the ISC Specimen Paper 2019, English Language Paper 1. In this video, I'm going to give you a general overview of the entire paper. Plus, we are going to discuss question number 1, which is composition, in detail. Please remember that this paper comprises 4 questions. And for each question, I'm going to make a video. This is video 1. In which I'll give you details about question number 1, plus, of course, as I just said, a general overview of the paper. Right, so let's start. The question comprises 4 questions. You are given 3 hours to finish attempting the paper. You're given 15 minutes reading time. All right, now I'll just show you what your paper will look like. So question number 1 is composition. Question number 2, you will be required to write a report and a proposal. So there's no choice there. Question number 3 is based on grammar, and the grammar topics are basically the same as that in ISC. The only thing is that I think it's a bit more advanced, with advanced prepositions and active and passive and direct and indirect, but there will be a separate video for this. And question number 4 is comprehension. So we are going to focus on question number 1. Now, in question number 1, you are asked to write a composition. So what is a composition? Composition is a creative work. So what you do is in a composition, you combine different elements, different ideas, and you put them together in a creative way to form a story or an essay or a poem or a letter or any literary work like a novel or a novella, things like that. All right, so that's a composition. You could also have a piece of art or you could create a piece of music. But since this paper is about writing, so this is about composing a piece of writing. Now, there are different types of compositions in writing. So you have the short story, the essay. You could also be asked in question 2, for example, a report, a proposal. You also have article writing and things like that. There are also essays are categorized in different types. I've already explained that in my previous video: narrative essays, expository essays, and you have reflective essays, argumentative essays, right? So these are the different kinds of essays that you could be asked to write, or compositions that you could be asked to write. All right, please remember that the word range is 400 to 450 words, and not 300 to 350 as it was in ICSC. So it's 400 to 450 words. Please remember that. That's the word range. And you are advised to spend 50 minutes, not more than 50 minutes on the composition. But also remember that you have 15 minutes reading time. You're not allowed to write, but you can always think, select a topic, plan, and brainstorm ideas. So the 15 minutes reading time that you get, you could spend 5 to 6 minutes reading the question paper, but I would advise you to spend at least 10 minutes selecting the topic, planning what you're going to write, and brainstorming ideas. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen so that you can see the paper. So this is the paper. Right, I'll just put myself at the bottom of the screen. Yes. So this is what it is. And we're just going to focus on question number 1 today. So this is what it is. Right. Remember the criteria of evaluation. There are 4 things I want to tell you. Number 1, you will be marked on the content. Okay, naturally, what you're writing. You will be marked on the register of your writing. That is, whether you're using the appropriate style, whether you're using the correct degree of formality. If it's a formal essay, you must use formal language. If it's an informal essay, or you can use a semi-formal to informal style of writing, you should know which style of writing you should use. Whether you are communicating with your reader effectively. right? For example, if you've been asked to describe a remote village, you don't go and describe a city. So your writing should be relevant to the task. You should use appropriate language. And then, of course, organization. Number 3, organization. How you have organized your essay, all right, or your composition. There should be 5 paragraphs. I say high 5. Remember this formula, high 5, 5 paragraphs. Stick to this rule of high 5. There should be 5 paragraphs, and organize your paragraphs such a way that they flow into the other. So the sequence of your writing should be logical and ordered. And lastly, your range of vocabulary and grammar, and whether you have used vocabulary and grammar accurately or correctly. So these are the 4 things that you should keep in mind. You could also ask yourself certain questions. I've made a list of questions. I'll just read them out to you. You could ask yourself, have I answered the task? Have I done what I have been asked to do? Which means you have to read the question carefully to be able to have the correct content. You could also ask, is my writing appropriate for the task? All right, so the degree of formality, as I just said, the register, and have I written something relevant? All right, so read the question carefully and write according to what you have been asked to do. Organization, is my writing put together well? Is it logical? Is it ordered? Do I have the high 5, the 5 paragraphs in my writing? Is there a good range of vocabulary and grammar, and have I used it correctly? That's the last question you should be asking yourself. So recheck your work before submitting it. All right, then let's have a quick look at all the topics. Remember to use your 15 minutes of reading time to select a topic, plan, and brainstorm. You have to plan before writing, even if it means you're planning it in your mind. Plan it. You cannot begin an essay or any composition without planning it. If you start without a plan, you'll end up like the man who started building his house without a plan and suddenly realized he couldn't get out because he didn't have a door. So make sure you plan your essay well. All right, let's have a look at these essay topics. A, imagine that you visited a remote village untouched by the influence of technology. Describe the village, the people, their routine, and at least one person you met there. How did you feel at first? What were your feelings when you had to return? If I were you, I would read through all the topics first in my 10 minutes, 15 minutes of reading time. I would read all the topics and select one. There's going to be one topic that will click, so you should go ahead with that. You were waiting at the ATM booth of Focus Bank when a white car drew up and 4 men with masks rushed into the bank. Narrate how an attempted bank robbery was foiled by an alert security guard. Today's youth is more practical and less swayed by emotions. Argue for or against the given statement. Sacrifice. E, it is easier to preach than to practice. Express your views on the given statement. And finally, write an original short story beginning with the following words: everything went horribly wrong that evening, and so on. As for me, I love writing short stories, so I know that topic F clicks. I would go in for F because I love to write short stories and I can do this well. So I would write a short story. But then let's have a look at all the topics. What have you been asked? What type of writing has been asked? The A, imagine and describe, it's a descriptive essay, a descriptive composition. B is narrative. You have to narrate an incident. C is an argumentative kind of essay. You have to argue for or against. Sacrifice, you are free to choose your style of writing. You could write an essay, you could write a story, you could write a narrative, you could write a descriptive composition or a reflective composition, your choice. So this is a topic that is a lifesaver sometimes. When nothing really clicks with you, you could think of using this topic and writing what you like to write. If there wasn't a short story in the list, I would go in for sacrifice and write a short story on sacrifice. E is express your views. So it's like a reflective kind of composition and expository composition. Then write an original short story. Of course, this is the short story. So it's story writing. All right, so once you have selected your topic, plan. All right, plan. See the high 5. What I normally do is I write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my 5 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 is always an introduction. Paragraph 5 is the conclusion. All right. And paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, they form the body of my composition. So supposing I have to do A, what would I do? So it says, imagine that you visited a remote village untouched by the influence of technology. Now, my introductory paragraph would obviously be about influence of technology and about the remote village. My paragraph 2 would be, see, they're giving you the points. I would describe the village and the people, their routine. Then paragraph 3, at least one person you met there, I would describe the person I met there. Paragraph 4, I would say, well, how did you feel at first? Paragraph 4 would be like my feelings, my first experiences of the place. And in my last paragraph, I would write, what were your feelings when you had to return? So I would write a bit of that and conclude it with a kind of a quote or an anecdote or things like that, or my feelings, when I had to return. So they give you the points. I mean, A gives you all the points that you could mention in your essay. You've already been given the points. So brainstorming ideas would be really easy because you've been told in this topic what you need to do. Now, sacrifice, on the other hand, D is just one word. So you really have to think about it. I said I would write a short story. So I would probably write sacrifice, my best friend sacrifice, and spin a story around that idea. All right. So please remember, plan ideas, brainstorm ideas, organize your ideas, which ones you're going to put in paragraph 1, which ones in 2, and so on. There are 2 tips I want to give you. Number 1 is manage your time well. 50 minutes, they say. 50 minutes, your advice 50 minutes. Even if you take 55 minutes, there shouldn't be such a problem. 60 minutes, but then that's the deadline. All right, not more than an hour. Definitely not. Otherwise, you will not be able to complete the rest of your paper. Second thing is, I've often seen students counting their words word by word. Please don't do that. Counting words is really simple. What you need to do is you need to check your own handwriting, see how many words fit in one line. All right, then count the lines in your answer script. On one page of your answer script, and see on an average how many pages you need to write. So you'll have an idea. And if you stick to the high 5 rule, you will be within the word range, definitely. But you must know, okay, I need to write this much, right? So I don't need to exceed this, and I don't need to write less. So accordingly, you should be able to see whether you're within the word range. What I'll be doing is, in my next video, I'll be brainstorming ideas on all these topics, and I'll share them with you. Should you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I will try my best to get back to you. All the best with everything.